Hey y'all, it's Wendy, and I'm back for part 2 of our Frozen inspired card. Olaf is featured on the front of this card, and I'll be using my Cricut Explore Air 2 to cut him out electronically. If you didn't see part 1 of the video, please check it out, as it's going to be using the same bokeh technique background that we used in that card as well. So let's get crafting.
We start by opening up Cricut Design Space and clicking on New Project in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to select Images on the left panel, and in the search engine, I'm going to type Olaf. Okay, so I'm going to see if there are any free images, which there are not. It's a licensed character, and I don't have anything saved either, so I hadn't purchased anything. So I'm going to narrow the fields down. I want to cut only image. And I'm not going to bother too much about layers, but you can choose single or multiple layers. Then I try material and paper cardstock, but that doesn't get me the results I'm looking for either. So I uncheck that. And now I'm going to go to purchases. Now I had already purchased Olaf for $1.99, but as you can see in the other ones, when I went back, that there are other images that I can purchase, also for $1.99. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on him and add him to the canvas. Because of the size of my card, I wanted to make him a very prominent feature, so I made him 3.5 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Make It. I do use paper on a mat. So each section layers out by color, and since all of my cardstock is 8.5 by 11 inches, that's what I'm changing it to for each specific layer. As I continue to select the different color panels and change my cardstock size, you'll notice on the right-hand side that it's showing you where on the mat and on the paper it will cut that part of the image. So here's a great tip if you don't have all the color cardstock that you need. I didn't have the orange or the brown for this specific project, but that didn't stop me. All I did was cut it out on white cardstock, and then I used my Distress Oxide inks in colors that I chose for those specific items. And voila, I had the color cardstock I needed. Once you've completed the step of checking all of the cardstock sizes, you're going to go back to the top and reselect the very first one, and it's going to highlight in white. Then you're going to click Continue. Once your Cricut and your computer communicate, you're going to go ahead and select your base material. So whatever kind of material, you can turn the dial or choose custom and choose your material that way. And then you're going to go ahead and load your materials. Just put your paper down on your sticky mat and slip it into the slots in the Cricut machine and press the double arrows to load it. The Cricut button next to the load button will light up and you'll touch that to begin the cutting. Cricut will finish cutting and return the cutting mat to you to unload it, and you'll peel off your paper at that point. Go ahead and switch out to the next color and continue on. I have skipped ahead and I have all of my pieces cut out, so we're going to pick up there.
Okay, I'm back. I begin with my black base, and then I'm going to take the bottom part of Olaf and I'm going to build him from the bottom up. So the white bottom layer is going to be used with some Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, my favorite glue. If you want to have a little wiggle room to make sure you line it up perfectly, just apply the glue liberally. Then I move up to my second layer, and finally his face. Okay, his mouth is next. And of course I dropped the piece. I am using very sharp tweezers just to make sure I hang on to it. And I'm checking to make sure that I'm putting glue on the right side of his mouth. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue him down. Okay, so a tip about small cuts in your Cricut. If you're using a really well-worn, well-loved mat like mine, it has seen a lot of use and it's lost a lot of its stick. So a lot of times I will use painter's tape around the edges to hold my cardstock to my craft mat, or if it has enough stick, but I'm afraid that I'm going to lose the teeny tiny little die cuts that it's cutting out, like Olaf's nose or his arms, very small, I take a piece of scrapbook tape or low-tack mint tape or even painter's tape, and I put that on the back of my cardstock prior to cutting. That way it holds the tiny little pieces to the cardstock, so I'm not looking for it and it hasn't flipped off into the back of the machine somewhere. So just a quick tip, you're going to see that my piece is on a piece of cardstock with scrapbook tape. I'm using a finger dauber just to color in his nose and his arms, and I used spiced marmalade for his nose and gathered twigs for his arms. I'm popping in here for just a moment. If you found inspiration in my card, I'd like to invite you to like my video and subscribe to my channel. Okay, we're close to the end here. Olaf is done. I chose not to add the second layer for his hair, eyebrows, or buttons. Since they were the same color, I didn't feel it was value added. So even though I cut them, I left them off. I'm gonna go ahead and position him on the front part of my card, and I'm gonna add my snowflakes like I did for my Snowy the Snowman card. If you didn't see that video, please check it out. I'll try to link it up here. And that will show you how I actually created the background, how I did the snowflakes around the front for a frame, and I just swapped out Snowy for Olaf. I did find that because there was no additional red like there was on Snowy, I ended up putting a red background to create a very narrow 1/8 inch frame on top of my card base. I just felt that it needed a little more color, but I love him. He is super cute. I love both the cards. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I sincerely appreciate you joining me today, and see you next time.